Our first train of 2015. $64.46. That's another 2-cent car constant. $23.02 and 2004. Yep. $21.76 and $46.50. BT Rail. Whoa. Well, that is rare. $22.92. Whoa, $24.21. $26.57. Now that is a horn. That meant listen show. locomotive. Built by Montreal Locomotive Works or American Locomotive Works. This engine is an S1. Whoa! Cap car 246! Oh my gosh. That thing is on Toronto Phantom Games car. You approach and 646.
Huh?
Oh my gosh. And 652. 235. Car 227. Yep. Woohoo! 3054. 3054. 3394. 3030. Holy crap! Whoa, Jabo! 2879. Jabo! 3393. 3394. And 3054. 319. 330. 625. 228. 238. 920. I've already seen these before. Okay. 653. 632. 8875. 've seen you for a while. Cap car 255. That's a good horn. Oh gosh, I got this on camera. So here is what happened to the sign. It's a stop sign. I'll try pushing it up, but it will take a bit of time. T-27! G93. 26:10. Three. All right. Leading his train. It's 3100. 3100 trailing. Man, all you need. 29, 57, 15, and 8101. SA 78. I just bought an SA 78. Whoa, an SA 60. .45. That's part 309. They're not going down.
That's a heavy load.
There's a business card. Peace out! Peace out! Merry Christmas! $56.23, $25.89, $25.79, $72.48, and $2.31. Oh my gosh, there's a Jeep on this. 306. $2.48. $6.11. $64.19.